for me that you're going to take a bunch of people who may be coming over here with a bunch of infected stuff and, airlifting them from there to here and contaminating everyone. That would be my concern more than anything else, but I digress. Anyway, Fathers Matteo Ricci, and I could be mispronouncing that. I have a tendency to butcher people's names. It's spelled R-I-C like Charles, C like Charles I. Adam Schall, which is spelled S-C-H-A-L-L, and Ferdinand Verbiest, which is spelled V-E-R-B, like English verbs, I-E-S-T. They set up the Chinese mission, and that wound up ending up in a bloodbath also. But despite that bloodbath, the foundation is still there as the nucleus of the Catholic Church in China. So I'm trying to show you guys something that I think I see, but, I could be wrong, but this is what I'm seeing. Now, the American missions of Jesuits were most remarkable in Paraguay, and the Jesuits worked all over Latin America, which is probably why there's so much craziness going on south of the border right now. But trust me, they're heading this way with it. The most devoted of the Jesuits in the Latin American countries was a cat named Saint Peter Claver, spelled C-L-A-V like Victor E-R, and he was considered a friend of the Negro slaves. Now, the Jesuits in the United States, or actually in America, period, were frequently at odds and in rivalry with other clergy and with the government, particularly in New France. They made headway among the Iroquois faction of Americans, but they were especially successful with the Huron faction of the Americans. They traveled all the way up even into Oregon with this stuff. And six Jesuits, and 2 of their helpers died, and they are called the Jesuit Martyrs of North America. And you can trust and believe when I tell you that these people on their blood feud, vendettas, and agendas, they haven't forgot about that. They're planning to come this way because of that very thing right there. Those martyrs, the Jesuit Martyrs of North America, died in like 1640, and that's a big thing for these people. And don't forget either that they still haven't gotten over Andrew Jackson kicking out the Rothschild Bank, back when he was the president. So these people have a long memory for vendettas and revenge that have, it's like, man, damn, like they're always telling our people, well, get over it already when it comes to slavery. What do they say to so-called black folks? Why don't y'all get over it already? That was back in the day. Well, why don't they get over it already? We're good at getting over stuff. Other people have a problem with getting over stuff. Now, in Europe, the Jesuits attacked the problem of Protestant Europe, and they went about reclaiming Protestant Europe for the church. That's why so many people were massacred in various places in Europe. They labored successfully in West and South Germany, in France, Hungary, and Poland. Just go back and see what happened to these people over here. Now, they established a lot of schools and colleges in nearly every important city in the world, and they were very zealous. The word zealous means jealous. If you look it up in a dictionary and you get in the brackets, it'll tell you zealous is synonymous with the word jealous. Now, it goes on to say they were consistently devoted to the Holy See, S-E-E. The Jesuits were too strong for the kings in Spain, but by the 1700s, the Jesuits were the only element of the Christian church that the popes could depend on. Now remember, the word church is every single individual that is a believer in Jesus Christ. It doesn't matter what kind of church you go to or don't go to or how deeply you believe in this cat. If you are a believer of Jesus Christ or a follower of Jesus Christ, you are a part of the church. And the Pope of Rome is the head of the church, okay? Now, they continue to exist in Persia and Russia because they were highly in favor with the empress, particularly of Russia. Now, again, when these people were, when Ataturk and the Young Turks helped get a lot of this stuff overthrown, and what is his name? I can't think of this cat. I can't even think of this cat. I was talking about him a couple of weeks ago that was backing Andrew Jackson in Russia. These cats may not have even realized the extent to which they were infiltrated. The same level of infiltration has taken place here, and the same amount of damage can occur here if people don't wake the hell up and get a clue about what's going on and what it has nothing to do with nothing. It's got something to do with a lot to the people that that are into it, but it's not for any of the reasons that all of the participants in a lot of this stuff, be they Bloods, Crips, Masons, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Klansmen, or whatever the case may be, that are involved in this stuff, and, the mafia, the Tamarans, they're all in this kind of stuff, and they don't even, some of them, most of them, don't comprehend what's really going on or why they're in it or what's happening here. But Italy, when the Jesuits kind of ceased to operate, or so everyone thought, Italy asked for their restoration. Italy wanted the Jesuits restored. Now, they were reestablished as a world order in 1814. Now, keep in mind this terminology: world order, new world order, global world order. You guys have to comprehend what you're looking at and what's really taking place here. Now, by the end of the American Revolution, nearly all Catholic priests in the United States were ex-Jesuits. That is important for everyone to understand. There are many of these Jesuit schools and colleges in the United States, but peep this right here. And remember what I told you about the bloodbath in Japan. Jesuits have made a specialty of the study of earthquakes. Now sit on that and chew on that for a while. I'm trying to think of how much more of this historic stuff that I want to give you guys. Oh, I was at one point thinking, and I probably need to say this while I'm thinking about it before I forget, because there are so many people that have a tendency to call in here and have their hand up and raise their hand to either put a question to me or a comment to me or a complaint to me or to curse me out or whatever the case may be. And I'm usually on something, and I try to keep on what I'm on because a lot of callers, derail me and where I'm going, and it happens a lot. When I'm trying to get from point A to point B, I get derailed by people before I get even to C sometimes. And people are still sitting out there waiting on me to get to D, and I never get there because of the derailment. So I've gotten where I'm not even really taking the calls until darn near the end or until I'm done. But what I'm going to do for the listeners is next Thursday, I have decided that rather than have you all listen to me go on and on, I am going to open the phones from the time we start this show at 8 o'clock California time, which is 11 o'clock New York time, just taking questions and calls and comments and complaints and curse me out, so whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to allow anyone to just monopolize 20 or 30 or 40 minutes of a 2-hour show. Now, if we run over a little bit, I'm willing to run over, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and a half, maybe 3 hours, depending on how things go. But I would like to keep it at 2 hours if at all possible. But, I'm going to let you ask me questions that are on topic, off topic, that have nothing to do with anything I've said. Some people are going to try to correct me or whatever the case may be. I'm open for it, and I can deal with it. So have your questions in order and be prepared for next Thursday's show, because some of you are going to have questions now that maybe someone will ask, and I will be able to answer their question for you through someone else. So, just so that you know, next Thursday is going to be all about that. And by the time I'm done with that show, I will know whether or not I'm going to do this every other Thursday or only the last Thursday of every month. And I may need to do it every other Thursday because I'm getting ready to start working on building your spiritual power so that you can work on trying to secure yourselves. But like I was saying, all roads lead to Rome. Henry III was stabbed to death by these people. Henry IV was stabbed to death by these people. And these are kings now. The King of Portugal was killed by the Jesuits. The great Prince of Orange was dispatched by the Jesuits and then shot by them in his dining room. Queen Elizabeth I had multiple attempts made on her life by the Jesuits at the order of the Pope of Rome for the church. And I'm thinking that that may be one of the reasons why there was this, after all of these years since King Henry VIII, that official meeting between the Pope of Rome and the current queen that took place, I think, in October or November of 2010, somewhere between September and November of 2010. And it may be because, remember, these people are anti-female, so it may be because Prince William is in the process of, grooming up for this, stepping into the throne. It may be the whole thing, oh, thank God, we finally done with all the whores, because, they think women are whores. We finally have a catamite or a male or whatever the case may be with these cats getting ready to gear up, and they're going to try to get on their whole patriarchal male, kill off women, molest children, whatever the case may be. I guess they're trying to unify this whole nonsense, which, if people don't see it for what it is, they'll be able to pull it off. Even Pope Clement the 14th was poisoned to death by the Jesuits when he signed an order to banish them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, know this. I did some additional research, and it turns out that the word Jew didn't even exist before 1775 in any language on earth. So exactly what the hell is a Jew? Okay? Now, just so you know, we need to get to looking into some of these things that are important. In 1933, 18,000 of whatever this is that people are calling Jews, and I don't know how many of them are real and how many of them are not. I submit that probably more of them are not whatever the so-called race was than people realize, but 18,000 of them went from the German Reich to Shanghai, which was Japanese-occupied China. That's part of why China is so heavy in bed with these people now. You got to know where a lot of these strategic moves took place and how a lot of these little strategic moves occurred and took place. Now, I find it interesting that Alexander of Macedonia, which is supposed to be Alexander the Great, is the guy that conquered Palestine. And as I said before, the earliest known inhabitants of Palestine were Neanderthal. And it was called Canaan before it was called Palestine. It didn't become Palestine, and actually it was Canaan, Philistine, then Palestine, and it didn't become that until after the invasion of Joshua. Now, again, what we're dealing with is people that are attempting to push a demonocracy down everyone's throat. And I'm going to give you the definition of demonocracy again in case you forgot it when I gave it, or maybe I didn't get to give it. I don't know. I get derailed so much, I'm not sure what the heck was heard and what wasn't heard. I may have said it, and it may have been one of those shows where music was played over me talking. I'm at a point now where my sound card is out on my computer, so I can't go back and listen to any shows. I have no clue what I've said and didn't say or what needs to be completed or corrected or anything like that, which is one of the reasons why I'm going back for this first 30 to 45 minutes of the show before we get into some of this spiritual information. A demonocracy is the word demon plus the word to hold, and it means the power or government of demons. In the New Testament, it's supposed to be spiritual beings which vexed and tormented men